Dave on the left side.
David Benjamin, ESPN. Kyrie, we spoke to LeBron earlier, and your step back three with 25 seconds left. He just shared that, you know, after the game, you were, I don't know, beating yourself up over it or kind of dwelling on it a little bit. I don't know that you've had a night to reflect on it. What do you think of that possession? How it went?
Well, there's like a natural shock that, you know, how that game ended. And naturally, you want to blame yourself because you feel just awful about, you know, because it didn't go in, so it necessarily wasn't the right decision, you know, and you have so many other options, and you start replaying that play over and over. And for me, it's a comfortable shot, you know, but then you also understand the, you know, the energy level that it takes in order to make that type of shot, and what it demands out of your body, and I just didn't give it enough. You know, it was online, it felt good coming out of my hands, but even for a tough step back like that, you know, it demands more out of my body and out of the focus, and it wasn't there for me, and that was just very disappointing. And when it's a do or die game like game 3, you know, you want to make that play, not only for, you know, your team, but just for your confidence. And you know, I'm always constantly unwavering with my confidence, but that type of shot you want to nail. And after the game, it hurt, you know, and you know, you felt like you let your teammates down because you didn't necessarily make the right decision. It didn't go in, so yeah.
Chris, the third row in the middle.
Chris Haynes, ESPN. Kai, what you and LeBron did as a duo was crazy. Have you thought about what it's exactly going to take? Like, it seemed like you guys gave it all and did what you could do. What more can it take to get one?
Well, we've definitely been beating on that door throughout spans of games of, you know, rattling them a little bit and making them uncomfortable. We've raised up our physicality, especially in game 3, limited into some of the things that, you know, they were capitalizing off of between game 1 and 2. And then game 3, as we watch film, there's still things that we can correct that would make it a lot easier to create a separation that we need in order to propel us to a win. But one thing about, you know, that team that you can't necessarily prepare for is how they keep coming. They keep coming at all times, and whether it be a three-pointer that you know, is out in transition or off-leg shot or something like that that doesn't look necessarily comfortable, you have to realize that all those guys in that locker room are capable of making those type of shots. And you know, we witnessed you know, a closing game by Kevin Durant that, you know, you can't prepare for. It's just big-time play, big-time plays after big-time plays that he was making, and he was comfortable. And we tried to make it as uncomfortable as possible, but this is a make-or-miss league, and we understand that, because if that 3 that he, you know, pulls in transition goes the other way, then, I mean, the whole conversation could be different. But he nails a big-time shot like that. He was gutsy enough to take it and to create that separation that they needed in order to win. So, you know, you give credit when credit is due, but as we prepare for game 4, we know that there are still some things that we can get better at and correct and, you know, make them feel a little bit more uncomfortable.
Next question in the middle row towards the back.
Kyrie, Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. You know, you mentioned the physical challenge of that, the emotional weight of the moment yesterday. You know, with the quick turnaround for Game 4, how do you sort of get cranked back up to the level that you need to be at to compete against this team in this situation?
I mean, well, you know, from a physical standpoint, you know, you just try to do everything possible to recover. But from a mental standpoint, there is no other option other than to prepare for Game 4 as best you can. I mean, that's it. This is as much as it was for all the games. This is as do or die as possible as, you know, I've ever faced in my career. So, you know, we understand what's at stake a whole entire season, and you know, there's really no other decision other than to leave it all out there.
quick follow-up. But after as difficult an ending as there was last night, does that increase the level of difficulty in getting back to that level, or does it make it easier that you have the quick turnaround?
I mean, you just can't let the emotions linger on. I mean, as best you can. Like I said, there's no other choice. There's no other choice.
Next question, Joseph on the left side.
Joseph Gasharo, the score. Kyrie, you talked about the challenges, obviously, that the firepower the Warriors have present. I know usually players will say that as long as their team takes care of their own business, they'll be fine. But when a team has that much talent, do you almost need them to at least play somewhat below their capabilities for them to be beatable?
Well, you know, part of that we can control. But like I said, some of those things that you can't necessarily prepare for, of having some special players that make some special plays. But yeah, it definitely does matter in terms of controlling the things that we can control and doing at a high level. But we understand the team that we're playing against. But at the end of the day, what really matters is you know, how together we are as a team and how we respond.
Scott, the second row on the right, excuse me.
Kyrie, Scott Sargent, WFNY. You've had some pretty memorable one-on-one stances with Clay. You know, the Christmas Day turnaround, even last night with the baseline runner with the and one. Do those moves you pull on him in those instances, does that play a role into your decision? Like at the end of the game where you did end up taking the step back, like just to show him something different that he might have telegraphed from an earlier matchup?
Well, in those moments, you have to be very definitive in your decision making, because he'll capitalize on a lot of things if you're second guessing, or you know, if my foot placement isn't right, or if I don't give him a good enough move to create space. He does a great job of eating up that space. So you know, as I'm looking at the score and we're coming down and we have a chance to get a score, you know, that'd probably be the hardest decision that I probably have to necessarily swallow with my pride, because, you know, looking back on it, I did have a lane, you know, going to the basket, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that a three will create that separation, and we put the pressure back on them. So, you know, I wouldn't change it, wouldn't change the decision, but at the same time, I know, you know, if I'm ever in that moment again, how much I need in order for that basket to go in.
Final question to Mark, fourth row in the middle.
Kyrie, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. You talked about Kevin's guts taking that last shot. I mean, one of the things about your game certainly is your guts to make and take tough shots that no one else would attempt, the creativity in your game. When you're facing an opponent in which every mistake that you make, whether mental or physical, they make you pay, how do you play with the same creativity and guts in that situation?
By just tunneling in some grit and understanding that you know, the belief that you have in yourself and your teammates and your coaching staff, that regardless of how big the moment is, I mean, you have to trust everything that you've worked on and everything you put into this game. It may not always come out as a success, but you know, most people will never even think about taking that shot, because they would concede to being fearful of those moments. And you know, some moments are disappointing and some moments are just exuberant. You know, they're just awesome. But you got to be able to live with both, and you got to be able to live with those decisions. You know, so the creativity and having that confidence, it's unwavering, man, forever. It can't change. But you know, if you do get on the disappointing end, then how you respond and how you are in those next moments will really dictate who you are. So I try to keep that same mindset going forward, that if I stay who I am and stay true to who I am, then everything will work out.